You going out for a walk in the hurricane, Bear?
Yeah, Dad.
Oh, okay. It just
I need a hat, but
we have
I don't
Ian
have
coming
one.
in, and Little Red Riding Hood is taking Bear for a poop. That's really funny. The neighbors must think you're a crazy lady.
They know.
Wow, look, the rabbit. The bunny's watching the sunset. What a beautiful sunset.
Crazy out here.
They're floating around.
It's gonna get pretty deep.
Ah, life on the coast. Ain't it grand? Here's what happens. We have our beautiful days, and we have our beautiful stormy days. We have our rainy days, and we have our downright frightening days. And what happened here today was nothing in comparison. It was minuscule in comparison to what happened in Florida in recent days. Southwestern Florida was hit by Hurricane Ian, and today we just saw the remnants of it. It's Friday here in North Carolina. It's September 2022, and Ian just passed through just today. And so we had usual problems with flooding. High tide came, and the water was up definitely into the neighbors' yards. It's still in the neighbors' yards a little bit. You can see some over there in my neighbor's yard as well. And it came a little bit into my yard too. Lost, had some issues on all the piers out here. A lot of my neighbors aren't full-time. They visit on weekends, etc. But their jet ski dock was just about to rise up over its mooring. So I went over there and tied that off, as well as retrieving a piece of my pier. I have 5-foot sections. The way some of us have our piers, what little we have. Mine is a very modest, rickety pier, but it's in 5-foot sections, and these sections are removable. Should a storm come, if you take sections out intermittently, you might be safe from losing your whole pier, because the lift is what's bad. The lift of the tide and the waves, the waves rolling and undulating the pier, lifting the wood and pulling it up out of its sockets, pulling the posts up, and your pier floats away. So if you take the ability for it to lift off, and by removing sections, you can save your pier. So one of my sections came untethered, and it floated to the next pier over, and I ran out there to try to get it, and then it had passed over that pier. The level of water was over the pier, and to my next neighbor's pier, which stayed above. It wasn't inundated completely, so it rolled up on it, and I was able to go out there and tie it off, and then tie off his ramp and float my piece of pier, just float it right through the edge of the waterway here, the creek, and float it back in position. Now it's back into position. Another thing that happened was this guy's left remnants of an old pier out there, and they're always threatening. He just left them sitting in the marsh. And we had a hurricane. It was from hurricane damage. He built a new pier, and didn't bother to take the trash because it's expensive and it's heavy, and he just left it in the marsh. Well, a piece of that again floated and jeopardized my neighbor's pier, so I went out there and floated it around. I ferried it around, and now I'm going to use it as a floating dock instead of having it just be trash in the marsh that he doesn't care to do anything about. He just kind of left it, moved it to shallow water and tied it off. That's not smart, because then it can, in a heavy storm, it can smash into boats and piers. And anyway, that problem was solved by me tethering it there, and I'll just make it part of my system, and I'll have a floating dock to bring my boat against, so it'll actually turn out to be something usable. Anyway, our heart goes out to those people in Florida who have had so much devastation. This is all things are relative, and this is our mini drama compared to the billions, probably $1 billion in infrastructure damage and personal property damage, and it's just horrible. We went down to Sanibel, ironically, 2 weeks before the storm. We visited Sanibel in the Upper Keys, Isla Morada, flew into Fort Myers. All that just got devastated. And we send our love to you all, and hope for the best recovery of everything down in Florida, in all parts of Florida that were damaged. I know our relatives had a lot of heavy rain and flooding near Orlando where they live, and they had some water intrusion. So we're just wishing everybody the best. All right. Thank you all. Be well.